There we go.
Is that the first presentation?
This could have been formatted better.
There it is. I'm good.
Seeing the hour is 7 o'clock. It's Wednesday, May 31st. I'm opening the meeting, the planning board meeting. We are being televised and recorded by the Chelmsford Telemedia. With that being said, first item on the agenda is Middlesex 3 Coalition Permitting Best Practices. You're up.
I'll start, and then I'll hand it over to Jay for the nuts and bolts. First of all, thank you for your time this evening. I'm Stephanie Cronin. I'm the Executive Director of the Middlesex 3 Coalition. For those of you who don't know, the Middlesex 3 Coalition, we're a regional economic development group. We include 9 communities along the Route 3 corridor and over 60 companies. And the idea is we work together to try to improve the business development concerns in the area. Certainly the issue that's taken up the majority of our time, the biggest concern that we hear is transportation from the businesses, and we've created a Transportation Management Association where we've brought shuttles up from Boston to Cambridge up to the Route 3 corridor, and that's grown over the years. We're working now to bring shuttles from Lowell down to Burlington, and co-op shuttles as well too, and bring shuttles up to the 129 corridor. So that's grown, and we're looking at ways to improve transportation. We also work with areas such as workforce development to promote the great resources that we have, healthcare concerns, and really just to market the Route 3 corridor. But what I'm here today to talk to you about is permitting. And we have an infrastructure committee where we've gotten together over the last few years, and really a subcommittee of that is the planners of the 9 communities have gotten together over the last few years with the assistance of Jay Donovan at NEMCOG to create this permitting matrix that you have in front of you. And the idea behind that, what we could do as a coalition is we could market this area as a great area, and we do, and that we have a lot of great things going for us in terms of permitting. And we have professional staffs, we have people who know what they're doing that can help you out and permit friendly. But really, we wanted to take the initiative to make some really some steps, to move some steps forward. My previous life, I was economic development director in the town of Billerica. And I always got from other developers, how come you guys can't do things like the town of Westford? They could do X, Y, and Z. And so we know that developers look at one community versus another, and they can compare them. So what we wanted to do is to work together as a region and to take a look at what one community, what the 9 communities are doing, and are there lessons that we can learn from each other. You may look at this and say, "Wow, Chelmsford is doing everything great. We're doing really well." You may look at it and say, "Look, at Bedford's doing this. Why can't we do this as well too?" So the idea really is to just look at each of the communities, look at Chelmsford, and to see what you guys are doing in relationship to the other communities, and if there are best practices that you can institute and steps that you can take. So we received funding, a DLTA grant, to bring NEMCOG on board to do some outreach to each of the communities. This is our first community meeting, and to hear a little bit more detail of what Chelmsford is doing in relationship to the other communities, and some thoughts as far as maybe some initiatives, some steps, whether it's the planning board or some of the other boards in the town. So that's just really a little bit of the background. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to hand it over to Jay to go into the nuts and bolts of this. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jay Donovan, Assistant Director at the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments. Just to give you a little background on this, back in November 2007, the Massachusetts Association of Regional Planning Agencies pulled together a document on best practices, a best practices model for streamlining local permitting, and worked with the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development. And within that document, they try to outline areas for local boards to work on in order to improve their permitting processes, in order to improve relationship with developers and increase private funding from local communities. The expediting permitting best practices was broken down into 4 categories, which was improving communication with permit applicants, standardizing the permitting process, and resources for improving local permitting performance and planning. So 2 years ago, the Middlesex 3 Coalition pulled together your community development directors and planners and started to do a self-assessment on the permitting processes in each community. So they were able to develop this overall matrix in terms of what they felt, what the situation was within their community. So right now, we're meeting with each community to review the matrix and see how you compare with the rest of the region, to identify areas where you can improve your permitting practices, make them more streamlined, and to learn from the other communities and to benefit from that relationship. So basically, based on the feedback we get from the local communities, we'll develop a set of recommendations and a report to the Middlesex 3 Coalition, and that report will be shared with each one of the communities. So if you want to take a look at the permitting matrix, if you want to start at the top in terms of single point of contact, Chelmsford has a single point of contact, and that's basically through your community development director.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In terms of the user's guide to local planning, you do not have one of those guides. We were able to develop one for the town of Billerica, which they have on their website, and developers are able to look at that ahead of time and know what the steps are in the permitting process, get a better understanding of what the timeframes are going to be. The third area there is in terms of permitting flowcharts. There aren't any permitting flowcharts. In this document that was developed before, there's some examples of permitting flowcharts that you can use that can show timeframes and which boards developers are required to go through in order to get the permits. You have clear submittal requirements. You also have concurrent submission requirements as needed. There's a question here about your combined public hearings. Evan, you said yes is needed. I'm not sure if you have the planning board meet with the zoning board of appeals and the conservation commission on a regular basis, depending on the nature of the project. But that's something that's recommended that you do. You have a pre-application process with staff, project technical review team, and in other communities they have a community development board where they meet ahead of time, representatives from the staff representing different boards to go through a proposal and get an idea what the issues are that are going to come before their boards ahead of time, and offer some recommendation to the developer in terms of what they need to improve. You have regularly scheduled interdepartmental meetings. Oh, you don't have regular scheduled interdepartmental meetings. So that would be the area where you could start pulling your departments together and meet on your different projects. You obviously have physical proximity of staff, largely working out of this building. Under development agreements, the response was no, there aren't development agreements that you have currently. And there was a question about third-party consultants, and basically the response was it's not needed, that in-house staff basically deals with that. In some communities, depending on the nature of the project, they will hire outside consultants to do traffic studies, to do other types of things. And that goes to further supplement the backup that they provide for by local staff. In terms of standardizing the permitting process, you have objective criteria for special permit by right, and a lot of what you have in terms of your special permits and your regulation comes directly from your master plan. You have effective use of a site plan approval. You do have a two-tier assessment process. One is for minor site plan approval, You do not delegate minor decisions to staff overall. In the document, they said that instead of having to wait for a meeting every month or whatever else, if there are minor decisions that staff could handle, that they should be encouraged to do so. And you have uniform timelines and notification of appeals that are outlined there. And obviously, what you want to do is make sure that everybody knows what they are, and that when the applicant comes in, they know what they need to provide. In terms of the resources, there's adequate staffing to support the different boards in the permitting process. In terms of training, my understanding is that only 10% of the boards here may take advantage of what training is out there. We work with a lot of different agencies that provide training, and we could help connect you with different types of courses at relatively no cost if you're interested in doing that. Maximizing use of the website, that could probably be improved if you had a permitting handbook or procedure that's outlined there. You could add that to your website. Mention here that you don't have an electronic permitting tracking system. As you see, there are other communities that have that in place, and there's some. I know that I believe Westford has something like that, and that's something that you could talk to them about, and they can share. The planners can share information on that and see how that would work in this community. You don't have an electronic filing process yet, as of when this was updated. In terms of planning, you have selected preferred industrial commercial sites. You had one Chapter 43D site that you already identified, and you have rating as Mass Bio Ready Silver in terms of the pre-permitting. One of the things that the Patrick administration was trying to do back in the late 2000s was to get communities to pre-permit parcels. And I know that's difficult given that you don't know what's coming in or what's being proposed for them. I don't know of many communities that have pre-permitted parcels, but that's one of the best practices they outline here. So that's an overall summary of Chelmsford. The matrix is provided to you so you see a comparison with other communities in terms of how they're doing. Overall, I think Chelmsford is doing very well in terms of permitting process. There are areas where you can improve the streamlining of your permitting process, and we're willing to work with you and help you move forward on that. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer anything.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Nothing on my right, anything on my left. We have some, well, I'll ask a question. Jay, in your analysis here, is there something some communities are doing that seems to be working very well for them that we're not doing? Have you gone that far into the analysis yet?
Well, off the top of my head, I know Billerica is doing some things that better than Chelmsford in terms of the handbook, in terms of some of the other aspects. Westford has some things in place in terms of electronic filing of permits, other types of things that could be implemented here. So I think
we're working on that part of the electronic filing, I think. So.
Right, and then what Evan said was you don't have that yet,
Right.
that you were in the process of doing that.
Right. Yeah, we're looking at that.
So there are bits and pieces from different communities, and I think what we'd try to provide for you is which communities are best in certain areas if you want to improve on them.
Okay.
And then you can have Evan talk with their planner or community development director and move forward.
I see some other members in the audience from other boards. Do you have any questions or Dave or anyone? Evan, you all set?
Gonna ignore Katie?
Huh?
Katie has something to say.
Do you have something to
I
say?
just want to, I know you asked Jay if there was something that works good. Katie Enright, I'm also on the board of Middlesex 3, so I've been following this process. I know that one of the things that you guys don't have that works very well in Burlington is this interdepartmental meeting. It's a regularly scheduled meeting, and what it does is it brings people from planning board, fire, police, engineering, planning together in a forum every month to discuss projects, and what that does is it really helps, I think, kind of get you on the page of the other boards, conservation also, but it kind of gets you understanding what they're looking at when they look at projects, how it affects a project. So that it's not just reading the letter kind of when we get here, but it really gives you a clear indication of how everybody else kind of in the different town departments are feeling about a project. And the applicants can also be invited to those as far as either a pre-permitting or at the beginning of permitting before the first public hearing. So you have a chance to actually talk to people about the different issues in a forum where other people can respond. If fire needs a bigger turning radius, but the planning board doesn't want more pavement, you can have a conversation about it, and it's very helpful, I think, to applicants. So I just wanted to bring that up.
So-
Does that happen in Burlington before the applicant makes a formal application to planning or conservation, so that it's kind of a discussion about what may be coming down the road, or is it actually?
I believe they will do it. It's usually after it's already submitted as something formal.
So this meeting has community development and it has
Fire,
fire,
police,
police,
conservation,
a member from conservation, a member from planning board.
usually the agents, but it reflects kind of the views. I believe other members of the boards could come. It's something that's regularly scheduled, so it's not based on a project-by-project basis. I think they can get together and also talk about just different things that are coming down the pike, what's going on in town, problem projects, different issues that are happening, and kind of compare and contrast views. And I think it's helpful.
So we do that as needed.
Yeah.
So I will convene the technical departmental reviews when I feel a project warrants it.
So like engineering, conservation agent,
Yeah,
police, fire.
yeah, it's as needed. It's more on the fairly uncommon, but it's sizable projects, which in my eyes, most of our projects are not complicated in nature. Once a project is submitted to the board, I don't convene an interdepartmental technical review meeting. If the memo from the department isn't self-explanatory, the board may ask me to follow up, or you'll send the engineer back to discuss it with the particular department. Again, the scope and scale, Burlington projects are massive, and they're very complicated issues related to traffic and so forth.
Right.
Chelmsford, I'm not sure we have typical projects of that scope and scale
Right.
that would warrant, continuous monitoring. Don't get me wrong, each and every department that does inspectionals, so building is out there, water and sewer, fire, they're out there on site during construction to make sure that whatever permits they have issued under the planning board decision are being in compliant.
Thank you.
A small town like the town of West Lincoln that I worked for, they had no big projects. We had land use group meetings that were very, very helpful between building, the land use groups, conservation, planning, zoning, and the director. And it was really good to hear what was going on around town, even though it wasn't a huge project that was in concern.
Okay. Nan?
Yeah, just a comment. Some activity I worked on, and I think it was the Historical and Cultural Preservation Plan. One of the things that we had identified during our research was that while we had a lot of different committees across the town that were very active in their own area, we had very little coordination between them. And we had an opportunity there to function more cohesively across the boards if we were to have some sort of a regular, not monthly, but some sort of a regular cross-coordination meeting, simply to communicate what we're concerned about, what we're looking at, what we're doing that affects other committees and what other committees are doing that affects us.
Henry, do you have a?
No.
Good. Thank you.
If you have comments or suggestions or recommendations, please give them to Evan, and he'll pass them on to me, and we'll incorporate them in the final report.
Great.
Okay?
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is minutes from January 25th. They were emailed to you. Anybody have any omissions, corrections, additions? Anything, anybody? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion to approve?
So moved.
I got a motion by Mr. Raisback. Second by Mr. Parley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from February 8th. Anybody have any additions, corrections, subtractions? Anybody?
Anything, I read it through a couple times too.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
Oh, gee. You got my change, right?
I incorporated your
so-
changes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion by Mike, second by Henry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Next item on the agenda is 12 Kidder Road.
Okay.
That's a request for endorsement of Mylars.
I think that was,
Good to go.
no, they weren't ready. They
Oh,
weren't
no,
ready.
I just got an
We're
update
ready.
from Evan.
Huh?
Evan said he did speak with him.
Yeah, we're all set. You have a memo from engineering?
Okay.
It was the old one.
Okay, Wildwood. There it is. Okay, I got it. All right, 12 Kidder Road, site plan approval. Dear board members, this office has reviewed the site plans by Eugene T. Sullivan, Inc., consisting of 6 sheets dated May 31st, 2016, revised through April 24, 2017, and the storm drainage report dated May 11, 2017. This office's concerns have been met sufficiently, and the plans revised accordingly. We recommend endorsement of Mylars. Questions, please contact this office. Christina Papadopoulos, Town Engineer.
Any further comments from engineering or community development? Nope, we're good. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I would move that we authorize endorsement of Mylars in PB 2016-07,
12 Kidder Road.
12 Kidder Road, yes.
Motion by Mr. Rayback, a second by Henry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. Next item is 26 Wildwood.
Check out on this one.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Cole is stepping out of the room.
Just no vote.
Okay.
We got endorsement of the Mylars.
Yeah, we've got a letter here from the town engineer. Dear members, this office has reviewed the site plans by Whitman and Bingham Associates, consisting of 8 sheets dated October 27, 2016, revised through January 6, 2017. This office's concerns have been met sufficiently and plans have been revised accordingly. If you have any questions, please contact this office. Signed, Christina Papadopoulos.
I see you standing at the podium. Do you have any?
Yes, Mr. Zaharoulis. Doug Hausler representing the Coles, Glenn and Carla, who are the owners of the property. There was also a letter submitted, I believe, as of May 26th, from Whitman and Bingham asking for a modification or an administrative change, striking condition number 17 of the approval because it's at odds with condition 19. Condition 17 addresses what needs to be done. It says all associated infrastructure and utilities shall be completed to serve the dwelling, and under the topic of prior to issuance of the building permit. I don't think that's really what was intended. I believe it should be part of condition number 19, as Mr. Malisi, the professional engineer, has indicated in his letter. So I'd ask that condition 17 be struck from the record, and we'll abide by condition 19. I think that's the intention of the board.
We do handle it as written, but if you want to amend it, you certainly can. The intent is that prior to a building permit being issued, utilities to that dwelling unit are in place. Prior to occupancy, all other site improvements that aren't utility-related, curbing, paving, are completed.
Okay,
You're
so,
saying utilities, like electricity and sewer and everything,
Per the-
water?
As written, those are required to be put in prior to the building permit being issued.
So you put,
How do you put them in without?
how do you put the foundation in before you,
I didn't say the foundation, I said the utilities.
well, how do you
so
put
water,
in?
sewer,
I know, that's the way it's been written, we've never had a problem before.
okay, so,
I think,
because it's,
I believe this condition's written that way because there are properties in town that got a building permit and weren't connected to town water or sewer. And they're still like that to this day.
so here's what I'm gonna do, because this is a request for endorsement of Mylars.
Sure.
This is not on the agenda.
I mean-
So I'm gonna refer this matter to the building inspector
Sure.
for review. I'd like it to be put on the next meeting's agenda for us to
Yeah,
look at as an administrative review,
The other way of handling this is just administratively. I mean, I'll work with the applicants and
okay?
figure it out. If the board wants to, if the applicant is insisting that it's gonna be a formal modification to the decision and the board wants to entertain that, so be it. What I'm saying is that when these issues come up, and they come up, every once in a while, we handle it administratively between the departments and the applicant. But it is written
so-
that way for a good reason.
Okay, so, because they submitted a letter to the planning board, I want it referred to your office and to building. Put it on next meeting for administrative review, and we'll handle it. Maybe we handle it by letting it work out that way, or maybe we make that adjustment, or not make that adjustment at that time, okay?
Okay.
So, before us tonight, we have the request for endorsement of Mylars for 26 Wildwood. We have an engineering letter. So I will entertain a motion.
We'll just put this in the record then,
I
and
would-
make sure it's entered into the record.
I don't think so. It's not on the agenda, and we'll do that at the next
Oh,
meeting.
okay, I get you, I
So,
got you.
so, okay? We'll address it at our next meeting,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
okay?
Well, certainly.
So I'll entertain a motion for endorsement of the Mylars for 26 Wildwood.
Okay, I move that we authorize endorsement of the Mylars for 26 Wildwood, PB 2016-13.
Well,
Okay.
keep it consistent.
I have a motion by Raisback, second by Parley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 6-0. If someone could let Glenn know that he can come back now.
I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
5-0.
6.
6? Oh.
Oh,
No, it's
five,
not Glenn- I'm
one,
thinking
two,
Glenn without going 7, sorry.
6-0.
6-0.
6-0.
Next item on the agenda is a minor modification for 8 Emerson Avenue.
Okay, and we've got some correspondence here. All right, this is from the Center Water District. No concerns. This is from police. No concerns. This is from the Community Development Director. No concerns. Okay, this is from the Board of Health.
It's a new one, it's not on the board.
Reviewed issues with engineering, but primary concern is that the property must be tied to sewer before permits can be issued. Okay, so that's the Board of Health. Richard Day. What's this one? Okay. Anyway, all right, this is to Colleen, but it's, All right, Kathy Messer, no conservation concerns. Okay, no conservation concerns. Let's see, this is from the Christina Papadopoulos. Okay, here we go. Dear members, the office has reviewed the exhibit plan by Hancock Associates dated May 23rd, 2017, and a plan by Webb Engineering Associates dated May 9, 2017. A review cannot be completed by this office due to lack of information. One, a full final design of the containment area is required. Volume calculations should be included in the application. Additional survey work is needed to show the limit of containment area. The current proposal calls for two rising stem manual gate valves to be closed during hours of operation. This proposal is not acceptable. There is no safeguard in place. The ground surface of the containment area shall be modified to be either concrete or asphalt. Okay, number two, as stated in the site plan regulations, existing and proposed contours of land shown at 2-foot intervals. Topography shall be referenced to the National Geodetic Vertical Datum of 1929, with the location and elevation of the starting benchmark, plus at least 2 additional temporary benchmarks on site. Number three, if the Board of Health requires connection to the town sewer system, then a full sewer design is required. Okay, number four, bollards shall be added around all sides of the above-ground tanks, above-ground fuel tanks. 5, the fuel dispensing areas must have a level concrete pad with a positive limiting barrier installed. 6, the design engineer is aware of the concerns with this plan. If you have any questions, please contact the office. Christina Papadopoulos. And I think that's all of them.
Okay. Do we have anyone from the applicant here?
My name is Bob Coluccio. I'm with Webb Engineering, and I have the owner's representative from Colonial Oil, Kim and Lee, Marshawn. And basically, the plan is they've been at the site of 8 Emerson Avenue since 1960, and in 1962 they installed underground storage tanks for the purpose of containing fuel oil and for distributing it. And at the time, single-walled steel tanks was state-of-the-art, 1962. And now we come to the present, and the Department of Environmental Protection, in conjunction with the Environmental Protection Agency, rewrote the regulations. And as part of those regulations, they said that all those single-walled steel tanks in Massachusetts is single-walled steel, but have to be removed from the ground or by August 2017. They've since said that you could take them out of service in 2017, but they had to be removed and replaced by 2018 August. And that was because of just the shortage of contractors and the number of tanks. And we've been doing this work all around New England, and so I can attest that it's tough to get a contractor to do the work. And so they gave them a respite. What Colonial Oil thought that when they were, pondering this and talking to different people in the industry, they thought going above ground was a better option, because you can see the tanks. You can they're double walled. You can monitor them. You can paint them and address any issue. At the moment, it's detected. Underground isn't quite that friendly, because you have to have detectors. That the leak has to reach the detector, and then you have to address it. And so that's the proposal. As part of the EPA requirements, when you go above ground, if you have over 1,320 gallons of storage, you have to have a spill prevention plan that meets the federal CFR 40 CFR Part 110 and 112. And so we went back and tried to figure out what the best way to do that was. And what we came up with was to have the containment. The first proposal was the simplest, and that was to have a containment basin underneath the loading rack. Which, if that's not acceptable, if our current proposal is not acceptable, we'll have to go back to that. But when I went out there last week and saw the rain and realized that everything channeled to a certain spot, I thought, well, that's a perfect opportunity for containment of the entire yard instead of just the loading rack. And so we revised our plan, and that's, I believe that's what you have. Okay, is that
The old one, I did a handout with the one you sent me today. I didn't have time to
Okay,
get it up,
okay.
sorry.
And I did submit that with the revised containment system, and the way the containment system works is I actually show a little more details on here, but basically it's a low area on the property, and agreed I need to do some contours. The rough containment I came up with by the system I have designed in there right now is about 4,000 gallons, whereas we only need 2,800 because the EPA regulations say that it has to be the size of the largest compartment. And so what happens is, and this isn't the first one that we've designed, we put a wall to formulate the containment system. Well, the biggest issue we have to address when we're designing these secondary containment systems is that they also collect stormwater. And so there's just no way around that. You can't put a canopy over the whole site. It wouldn't meet code. So so the way that it works is they would keep those valves closed, and stormwater would collect every, they would have to drain the stormwater out after they inspected it. But when there's any kind of operations going on, those valves will be closed. And if there's any overnight, if they anticipate any kind of operations like tank filling, then they would be closed. When they come in the morning, they would open them, suspend all activities at the loading rack, and then let the water drain out into a riprap bed so that it limits corrosion. And the water basically goes where it would go if we didn't do anything. So that's what we have proposed. I did discuss some of the issues with Ms. Papadopoulos, and the plan that I have here, which I only came up with, finalized today, and was not able to get it in time to go up on the board. It shows some of the details that she asked for, like in the containment area, rather than packed gravel, she wanted to see asphalt, so we did that. She wanted to see us put some bollards around the tanks, additional bollards on the side of where the highway was and around the smaller fuel tanks, so we added those. And she asked also that we continue the wall up against the building. And right now, I would probably just want to discuss that because this small area we have to manage the snow. So we need an area where we can push the snow so that the containment system works. When we've done this before in other towns, they've required us to put, no snow stockpiling in front of those valves because those valves are, they're a working part of the system. They would have to have an SPCC plan, and as part of that SPCC plan, that SPCC is that federal plan I referred to earlier, and it's they have to do inspections, routine inspections, daily, weekly, monthly, and as part of those inspections, I would put on there that the valves are operational, that they're being closed when there's operations taking place, and that there's no snow or debris blocking them. So it's something that there's a permanent record on file that if anybody wanted to make it their business to inspect that valve, then it's not obscured in any way. It's right where anybody can walk by and take a look at it. So that's our proposal.
So in a nutshell, reading from the narrative, you're taking out 5 tanks, you're going down to 3 tanks. You're
Correct.
reducing the volume from 54,000 gallons to 32,500 gallons.
Correct. Yeah, I should have mentioned those. Basically, the thing to keep in mind with this is that these improvements are purely environmental. There is no direct link to increased sales, unless, of course, some customers like what they're doing and want to use them, then there might be increased sales just because of being environmentally conscious. So there's no benefit
you're-
other than environmental here.
So you're removing single-wall tanks, you're putting double-wall tanks that have alarm systems built in.
Yeah, they will meet NFPA 30 and also 527 CMR 1, NFPA 1, all of the new fire codes that Massachusetts now goes by. And
Okay. Well, it's good that they're bringing it up to the codes.
we have a good
For
relationship
them
with.
and for the town, so, you don't want to have an accident. No. So.
We have a good relationship with the fire department, and he will review all of the plans.
Any questions from the board? I'll start with Mike.
No, this makes perfectly good sense to me.
Henry?
No, it needs to be done.
Nan?
No.
Ed?
I just want to make sure the town engineer's concerns are fully addressed. 2 comments from long industrial experience with oil tanks. The business of the valves being open and shut on the containment area, that doesn't work. They're always left open after about a year. So, my experience, personal experience. Second, have you ever considered a tank in a tub with a roof over the tub that's a pretty standard device, to solve all your containment issues instead of all this stuff? And I'm just going to leave it at that.
If I think what you're referring to with the tank in the tub is a Highland makes a dike tank, and the dike tank does not provide containment at the loading rack. The containment at the loading rack is usually the biggest hurdle, and it's why web engineering, that's our thing. There's a lot of contractors that are out there that'll install, above ground storage tanks, come out there with their wrenches and but the containment, we're very familiar with all of the issues with the containment, with the loading rack containment. And I understand if they don't follow the procedure, but I can just tell you that is true with any loading rack containment system. I know of, I could pick apart every loading rack containment system. If they
Right.
don't keep up with their stormwater, then the system's not going to work. But I can go through, I can discuss at some point with the engineer the various different systems out there, and I can shoot them all down. The only way to manage the stormwater, other than what we're proposing, is to put a canopy over the entire property.
I'm not trying to shoot it down, just trying to move ahead with something that works good for you, so you're not stuck with a bigger problem down the road. And with the detail you provide on this little sheet, it's tough for a guy like me to see much of anything.
Yeah, if I had gotten
I
to
hear
it
you,
earlier.
I hear you, but I don't see it very well.
If I had gotten
That's
to it earlier, I have a detail right up here that shows how it lays out.
Yeah.
But you can't see it on 8.5 by 11, obviously.
Yeah, that's fine, I'm all set now.
Glenn?
I had just a few questions. First and foremost, the measurements where you come up with your 823 square feet. I would have kind of liked to seen that on the plan somewhere, with some measurements on the plan. There's like nothing on the plan.
Yeah, I have that right here, but obviously it's, you gotta dig for it.
Yeah.
I understood that was an issue that the community development director wanted us to address because we're
Well,
trying to stay under a certain.
The question I got for it is, I think you're gonna have more than 3,000 square feet of area once you start taking your old tanks out and putting your new tanks in. So your construction area is gonna actually be a lot bigger than what you're saying.
No, that's not true, because right now what there is underground storage tanks.
Yeah.
And it's an earthen area over those tanks. When we put this concrete mat in for these tanks, we're not going to do any impervious surfaces around the concrete mat. We might put some vegetation barrier down, but it will still be a pervious it'll be pervious. The only introduction in that area of impervious surfaces is the tanks, in
But
the
I guess
tank
what I'm
area.
saying is you're gonna be taking the old tanks out. And the area that is, you're gonna have your 3,000 square feet right there.
Right, but we're gonna put the
New
new
area
tanks
is gonna
right
be
over
another
top of that
800.
area. We're gonna put the.
Let him finish.
So you're gonna end up with like 3,800 square feet instead of 800 square feet. My thought is on it, I think it should go into a major site plan instead of a minor site plan is the reason why I'm asking this. It seems to me like the neighbors out in the back should have some input on it. With this going through the way it is,
Yeah.
they're not gonna have any involvement in this at all and have to look at tanks in their backyard. I know it's through the train tracks and all that, but it's,
The butter is the state.
the butter on the back of you on the train tracks, his house is out in the back.
Well, I don't know, I don't know the area well enough to know if you can see any houses across the bike path.
Maybe from their upstairs
Yeah, that's-
I would just say that I would disagree with what you're saying about us. When you remove underground storage tanks, let's say we were not putting any tanks back.
Yep.
You just backfill with soil. That's
Right.
it. So when you take out the underground storage tanks and you walk away, you have that 3,800 square feet is exactly what it was when you started. It's the earthen material. Now, what we're going to do is, after we backfill, and it's all earthen material, it's an earthen field, we're going to put our 824 square foot mat plunk in the middle of that earthen area. And there is no plans to create impervious surfaces around that concrete. And so really, the impervious surfaces that we're adding is only 824 in the area of the tanks. And we're not increasing off-site peak discharge because our containment system retains water. And so we will release that water after the storm event, not during the storm event. So there is no increase in off-site peak discharge from this.
Right.
In fact, there's a better, more controlled off-site peak discharge through those valves.
I don't know, George, you might know better than me on the difference between the major and the minor. It doesn't say whether it's impervious area. It says, the way I read it, if you're gonna be,
I'd have to look
kind
at
of, it looks to me like the construction zone of the area that's gonna be ripped up and torn apart is more than,
You want to
It's more than
talk
500.
It's not based upon area disturbance, it's based upon
finished area?
structure, building or structure, more than 500, less than 3,000.
Yeah, because it's basically going to be
Because if
dirt.
it were area of disturbance, and any time somebody landscaped 3,000 square feet of their property, it would fall under a major site plan.
Right.
You can push dirt around and dig holes all you want.
all right, I just,
Good point.
yeah.
Good point.
Then what was the other question I had? Oh, you got 4 products listed on your paperwork. You got 3 tanks, how's that work?
Because the off-road diesel fuel, kerosene, and number 2 fuel oil are compatible to be transferred and used in the same tank. So there'll be, one tank will be for fuel oil. When, during the fuel oil heating season, they'll more than likely have fuel oil in 2 of the tanks. So they'll have 20,000 gallons of fuel oil. They also sell clear diesel for on-road, and that will always have clear diesel because you can't mix clear with dyed. So that's the issue, is that they will, when, in the summertime, when they need some of those other fuels, they'll just drain the fuel oil out of the middle tank and put either dyed diesel or kerosene, depending upon what they feel they're going to sell the most of.
Yeah.
Okay. Monica?
I just have one question in regards to the valve system. Just out of curiosity, is there some type of electronic warning system that would remind them to close the valves? And does that exist?
Well, anything is possible to do if there can be something on there that says if they're, we can, put some kind of a limiting switch on them so that when they're open, they have some kind of a signal inside.
Good?
I'm done.
Great. Go ahead.
Thank you. It seems like a lot of this conversation has been about safety of the above-ground tanks. Could you explain what is the advantage and rationale of putting new tanks above ground instead of replacing them with underground tanks?
Well, the rationale might be peace of mind. I'm not going to stand here and say that underground storage tanks, that even new going in the ground, are going to leak. They can be put in, state of the art, and fiberglass underground storage tanks have been around for 30-something years without incident on their own. People put sticks through them, and there's those stories. But there is something to the effect that they can see the tanks, paint them, not waiting around for an alarm. Alarms are your quintessential passive system, because you have to wait for the oil to reach the sensor, and then you have to hope that the sensor is working, right? And 20 years from now, the DEP does have stringent inspection rules for it. So we don't expect it, but it's like anything, you can see it, getting everything out of the ground. And it makes sense also from the state's drinking water standards standpoint, because you can't install a new underground storage tank system in a Zone 2 aquifer protection area. You can if you're grandfathered, but you can't do it if they were just a blank piece of property. The state has said no to underground fuel tanks.
But where they are, because they already have undergrounds, they could put in
Correct.
undergrounds.
That's correct.
So it seems like these above ground, the current tanks are underground. They're out of sight, out of mind, not subject to mechanical damage, not subject to tampering. What's the plan, the protection plan, to keep somebody from maliciously tampering with these above-ground tanks?
They have a camera on the property, so there is some security monitoring. And I would just say that if I've been designing and installing above-ground storage tanks in New England since 1990, and this is just not something that happens. I can't think of a single place where there's been that kind of activity, and so there's not a lot you can do if somebody wants to do damage to your system. They can do it in underground or above ground. Trust me, if I want to put a hurt on someone with an underground, I know how to do it. Not that I would, but there's nothing foolproof. If somebody's out to get you, then the best you can do is security.
Yeah, I wasn't so much worried about somebody out to get them as I was concerned about the problems we're having as a country in terms of these are flammable materials.
Well, number 2, fuel oil and diesel fuel are not, although I understand the concern, they're combustible materials, which means that you have to heat them up. And I would just say that if there was any kind of nefarious activity in that regard, they don't have to come there to get the fuel oil. They can call them up and have them deliver it. You all have a fuel oil tank at your house. 275 gallons, you can, this is not my expertise, but I can imagine there's an awful lot you can do with 275 gallons of fuel oil, if fuel oil was that kind of a threat.
Okay, so, because we just got these plans, I want Christina to look at it a little bit more. And I think that one thing will help us, since you've done some of these before, is come back to see us. Let Christina look at.
Those letters.
Yeah.
Did we?
I thought we read the letters. Yeah, we read them.
Is this yours?
We read the letters.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She did look at
We
it.
read the letters.
So
Okay.
I want Christina to look at it again. I like to see a couple of pictures of a similar system, whether
I
it's one
got one
tank,
right
two
here.
tank.
But I understand.
That's
I should
fine.
have, I had intended on bringing one, but
And then, I see a dotted line around the backside. I'm not sure what that is, because I can't,
zoning, setbacks.
no, there's a setback line, then there's another dotted line that kind of goes L-shaped. I'm not sure what that is.
Where's that, right?
Now, right where your finger is, now go left. Now stop and go south.
Traffic protection.
Oh, this is an existing concrete pad where their trucks park now.
Well, it's a dotted line that I see on this plan, but anyway.
It might be the canopy. There's a
Okay.
canopy over top
All
of
right,
that.
so I want to see that, a picture. I want her to take a look at it and look at what Monica brought up about an alarm system for if the valve's open, they can't pump or something like that, if that exists. And then come back and see us on June, Colleen, when's our next, June 14th?
I believe so. Yes.
June 14th.
One question. When you come back also, could you get on the plan some measurements of all your pad sizes, including the,
Do you have the,
You can ask her offline. We got a meeting to go.
right, I know that,
So-
but I submitted, okay, I guess that doesn't specifically, that gives elevations.
So,
could you get the,
That was submitted, you probably, you have that, right? It gives the perspective
Oh,
anyway.
you know what? Not on this one. I wasn't able to put anything you gave me today onto the,
You can see the tanks are about 11 to 12 feet high.
we have the elevation,
You know, so it's, you can get the relative sense of it.
yeah. But, so when you come back, can you put the measurements of the pad, the
Okay.
future 2,500
Thank you. What was
gallon
your notes?
area, the measurement on that, the measurement on the loading rack, that's 2,800 gallons, the measurement on your two propane tanks that you're relocating. Just trying to get a calculation on everything that you got there, because there's no measurements on anything.
Well, there, I have,
I don't want any more discussion.
okay.
Next meeting, he's
So
asking
just
for
saying
those.
there are 1,000-gallon tanks is not acceptable?
He's just asking for some dimensions.
Okay, yeah, but
Okay.
put the measurements on the plan.
Okay,
Okay.
great, yeah.
All right, so he just wants some measurements, okay? And I think
I'll make sure he knows what to bring.
June 14th, is that our next meeting? So I'll entertain a motion to hold on. Do you have something to say? It's not a public hearing, but I'll lay you some.
Director, Sue Rosa, Deputy Director for the Board of Health.
There was a letter from the Board of Health.
Yeah,
Yes.
Colleen.
Okay, okay.
it was read.
So I'm just here actually on behalf of Rich Day. He couldn't make it today. He's the director, I'm the deputy director. And we just wanted to verbalize that, the concerns as far as this project being tied into sewer before it's approved, because there is no sewer tied in currently. And from what we've been told, we don't even know where the tank is, so we have no idea when the last time it was pumped. But if the system fails, then the whole property is going to have to be torn up again or whatever to put in a new system. So while this is going on, it only makes sense to tie in to town sewer. We've managed to sewer, pretty much the entire town except for a few secluded areas that can't be tied in. And it only makes sense that it happens, and it won't get approval through the Board of Health without being tied into sewer.
So is the sewer line down to the property?
My understanding is that the sewer line is at the edge of, the stub is at the edge of Chelmsford Street. That was way before my time. I have no idea why, when the sewer commission was going through town and putting in the stubs, that's where they put it. I spoke with Kim today, and she commented to me that she got a quote for like $75,000. I did not see that quote. I also spoke to Steve Johnley about the whole possibility of getting it worked in. They wouldn't have to rip up the entire road to get to it. They probably should get more than just one quote to hook in, but I know that Mr. Day has said that he will not move forward without being tied into sewer. So I just wanted to
Okay.
state the
And you had a
opinion through the
question?
Board of Health.
No, you had asked it.
Okay, thank you.
You can come to the podium.
Excuse me.
We would love to tie into sewer.
Can you state your name and?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Kim McCready, and I'm one of the owners of the property at 8 Emerson Avenue. We would love nothing more than to tie into sewer, but it doesn't come down the road. So it, you know, if it came down Emerson Avenue, we would have tied in 10 years ago. So that's all I have to say on the subject, is it's not available. It's not there. And it's not inexpensive to go from Chelmsford Street to our property, which is somewhere around 200 to 250 feet.
And you'd have to go down Emerson Avenue.
Yes, it's on Chelmsford Street. It's not on Emerson Avenue at all. They left a stub with our name on it, I just found out today, on Chelmsford Street, and said, there you go, this is your tie-in. So that's where that stands at this point. I didn't even know there was a stub there for us. But that's the only reason that we have not tied in yet. We would have loved to have done it a long time ago. And I'll do it today if it comes down the road.
Well, I think that's a topic for
It's,
engineering and the sewer department, Mr. Yanley, to address that matter.
Pauline, is Emerson?
Is Emerson
accepted road?
an accepted way or a public
I
way?
brought that up and I misplaced it. It might be outside. But there's the sewer line right there.
It's a public way, and it's accepted.
Normally, this issue is, as you know, is not planning board related. I
Right.
think the only reason it's introduced is kind of an FYI. My understanding is the Board of Health has their own procedures and protocols to require somebody to do something that they want to do. And certainly Board of Health, if they have any permitting authority as part of this proposed project, can exercise their discretion. Whether the planning board, wants to take ownership of the issue and embrace this issue as part of your public hearing and pending decision, it's up to you, but normally
We don't normally.
it's not something that we would get involved in. It'd be different if they
I
were
would-
proposing a structure that was habitable and would trigger
Yeah.
occupancy. This is
we
what
do
they're-
intend to pursue this with the town one way or the other,
I-
but right
I
now
mean,
it's
there's-
holding up our business.
There's no question that you're gonna have to deal with it. It may be outside of planning board, but Board of Health has basically put you on notice, and I'm not sure if this project or any other project that you envision is gonna move ahead smoothly without addressing Board of Health. If that's-
Well, I
think it's
understand
a-
that they need it done, and it's not gonna get done unless
So-
we have the sewer. My fight is with the sewer department and not the Board of Health. I
Yeah,
have no
I think-
issue with
I think
tying
this
in.
has to be referred to Chelmsford Sewer Department, Town Engineering, and and Board of Health. I think this is a matter that's kind of beyond the scope of what we have before us, but sit down with the people. We have good people in town. Maybe there's a way they can do something to get it closer to you or mitigate some of that cost. I don't know, but
That's
So-
our hope, but we
So-
really need this project
Okay.
to get done, and this is the first time we've heard of it literally today, so.
okay. So I'll entertain a motion to continue to June 14th.
So moved.
I have a motion by Raisback, second by Henry.
We're on a roll.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous. We'll see you on the 14th. Next item is to review the decision for 152 Turnpike Road, EJH Inc. I got those this evening. Actually, you know what? Why don't we skip the decisions and let's go to 44 Westford Street. Let's get to the public hearings, get that out of the way. Okay, and then we'll come back to the review of the decisions at the end. Is that okay with everybody?
Fine by me.
Yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is public hearing for 44 Westford Street, two-lot definitive subdivision. So we should have a letter open, a legal notice to read, and some letters.
Okay. Oh, boy. Okay, we got some reading here. Oh, give you the easy ones. The Chelmsford Planning Board will conduct, this is the legal notice, the Chelmsford Planning Board will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, May 10th, 2017, at town offices located at 50 Billrica Road, Chelmsford, Mass. to consider the application of Robert Laporte for a two-lot subdivision located at 44 Westford Street. The applicant requests definitive subdivision approval and applicable waivers under subdivision control law, rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land in the town of Chelmsford. The project calls for the subdivision of the property into two lots. Lot 1 will contain the existing single-family dwelling, and Lot 2 will create a new buildable lot and construction of a cul-de-sac for access. The site is located in the RB Residential Zoning District. The site is 2.55 acres as shown on Assessors Map 72, Block 320, Lot 4. Copy of the proposal is available at the planning board offices, located Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, may be viewed Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. All interested parties are invited to comment in writing or be present. Per order, George Zaharoulis. In the meeting had been moved to May 31st, today. Okay, now we get into letters. This is from Christina Papadopoulos, Town Engineer. Dear members, this office has reviewed the plans by PM Flaherty Associates dated May 8, 2017. As a result of this review, this office has the following comments. 1. This department shall be notified when work on site is to commence in order to arrange for inspections. 2. Any revision of the drainage system shall be submitted and approved by this office. 3. A site as-built shall be provided upon completion of the work on site. Provide all supporting documents and calculations. The as-built shall be from ground survey and submitted in AutoCAD and paper form. 4. The proposed sewer work will require approval, permitting, and all applicable fees from the DPW Sewer Division for connection to the municipal sewer system. 5. A road opening permit is required from the Chelmsford DPW for work within the Westford Street right-of-way. 6. Trench permits shall be filed as necessary per 520 CMR 14, Chapter 82A. 7. The design engineer has received design and drafting review comments from this office. Any questions, please contact this office. Signed, Christina Papadopoulos.
Michael?
And I have two letters. I have a letter from Community Development, no concerns. And I have one from Fire Prevention, and also no concerns.
That's it for letters?
Your building?
I was gonna say a building.
Right back. Anything else in there? We had engineering.
Never mind.
What?
Nothing. Okay. Okay. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Patrick Flaherty, and my office is at 48 Chelmsford Street, and I'm an engineer. And I'm working for the Laporte family, Robert Laporte, for this project. This piece of property is, when you go out Westford Street out of the center, you're heading toward Route 495. This is shy of Route 495. And it's a parcel that's had a house on it for a long time. When you look from the road, you can see the house way at the back. And our proposal is to create a cul-de-sac in the front to provide frontage and access to develop another house lot. So we asked for some waivers on the size of the cul-de-sac in order to try to keep that house as close to Westford Street as possible, to make it look as though it's part of that it's got frontage on Westford Street. You won't see any cul-de-sac, you just see the existing driveway that's there right now. And you can see it starts just about in the middle of the property and goes up toward the existing house, and there's a turnaround already there that works very well. The emergency vehicles have been up there already and have made that turn several times. we are proposing to, and it is also a wetland on the property. As you look at the property on the left-hand side, there's a wetland that starts at the top, at the south end, and comes down, meets a pipe on Westford Street and crosses. There's no flooding problems and there's no floodplain in the area, but it is a wetland. And that was a big consideration as where we were going to put the house. We can't put a new structure within 50 feet of a wetland, so the only place that we could put this house or develop is to the right-hand side of the driveway. The existing house has sewer and water service and gas service coming off of Westford Street. So we're proposing to run a sewer easement on the right-hand side of the property and connect into the existing sewer line that's down on Westford Street. Right now, I have a house on, could you show one with the house on it, please? Turn this. I show a house in there now that meets the Conservation Commission setback of 50 feet from the wetland. We've been to Conservation already. They've approved the project. We put in around a 2,000 square foot footprint there, and we're taking care of any roof runoff with a Cultec system, a recharge system in the backyard to recharge the roof runoff into the ground. And we're proposing a driveway that comes down and joins the existing driveway closer to Westford Street. And we're also proposing new water service, new gas service. If you have any questions about this, you could ask. It's a little different kind of a layout because because of the zoning requirements. We have to have enough frontage on the road for to meet the 150-foot minimums, which we have. And each lot has to be able to, each house has to be able to enter its property on its own frontage, so that's why we have a little different kind of configuration. But it all works. We had meetings with the building inspector and community development, and they're in agreement with the layout.
You all set?
I think I'm all set, yeah.
Ed?
Yeah, just, I guess the question is this going to be deeded access? Is this going to be in the deeds for the existing property through? What bothers me about this is that we don't have clear access. We don't have the standard access to the back property, call it the back lot. I know it's not a back lot, so
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, have you got it in the plans enough so that we're sure of that when all the existing parties have long departed from these properties and we're 2 or 3 owners down the road, that there's going to be enough legal documentation that the back property is going to have access?
Yeah.
That's what that's the concern.
Okay.
I'm sure it's going to be perfect now, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
30 years from now.
I deal with those problems now, so.
Okay.
I guess what I left out was we're going to put an easement across the property. We'll have a deeded access easement.
Yeah, you've got just as long as that's real clear on there.
Yeah, that would have to be written up when the deeds are done, but the plan does show an access and utility easement. so that no matter what, the upper house can cross over the property of the other property.
Are there any other words you can put on your plan that makes it even more stronger? That's bad English, but more
Yeah.
stronger.
I guess I could darken the lines, but I could, yeah, I
That
could
was my
make
only,
it,
that was my only concern, Pat.
I can, you see the bold lettering there? I can work that out. I can make it emphatic, you know. I could even put a, let me,
Put a note on the plan.
Yeah, just annotate the plan.
this would be the plan that would get filed at the registry, so there's a lot of area on it, on that. I could take that easement and bring it to one side and, you know, blow it up and make a big deal out of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll make a more emphatic, yeah, there's no problem. Actually, it's probably a good idea.
Glenn?
I think Ed asked the same question I was gonna ask, so.
Monica?
I just have a quick question, just because I probably missed this. Could you just show me the frontage that would be allotted to lot number 1?
You took my question.
Oh, what? I'll have to yell, okay? Lot number 1's frontage is all along here. And there's a connection right up here with lot number 1. That's the connection. This area, according to the zoning bylaw, isn't included in the required 40,000 square feet, but that's the connection right there. The frontage is down on Westford Street and along the proposed cul-de-sac.
And then it goes up that narrow strip
That
on the
narrow
side of
strip,
the
yeah.
west
Yeah.
lands?
And by,
That's not frontage.
That's not frontage.
That's not frontage.
Frontage is on the cul-de-sac and on Westford Street.
frontage would be down on Westford,
Got it.
along the cul-de-sac.
Got it.
Yeah. This is, you know, a paper street, we would call that cul-de-sac.
Okay. I'm done.
Nan?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to put this, but I hate to see you splitting up a piece of property this way. What, have you given consideration to accessing the rear, the original house via Alexandria Way?
It's not wide.
Yes, as you can see on the upper right of the plan there, this little strip of land hits Alexandria Way. And before it was Alexandria Way, it hit that property. But right on the, right over the stone wall at the back of the property is all wetlands. And there's a large drop from the existing house on the back. And we looked at that, and it would really be a steep, it would be too steep to get in to the house. It's narrow there too. It's less than, let me think.
More than 10 feet.
Well, it's wide enough for a driveway, not a road, but a driveway.
20 feet here, but in this area here, it's probably 15, but it, like, this house is up around 186, and when you get back, it just keeps going down like in a hole here. It's probably a, well, 16, 18-foot drop. And it would really be a stretch to get out that way. We'd like that idea in the beginning, yeah. And we'd have to, I don't know how we would do those driveways, and I don't really think that would suit the fire department as far as access or emergency vehicles. I don't know how we'd be paving and making, I think we'd make a mess of it. You'd have to come in around the house. But we looked at that. That would have been an easy or a better way out, yeah.
Henry?
this is all gonna be paved in and out from the road?
Yeah, right now it's paved,
Yeah.
and Bob Laporte anticipates that after construction, we'd put a new layer of hot top on the whole place to bring it back up. It hasn't been paved for a while, but it looks good right now. But we anticipate some damage from trucks and maybe putting in the utilities, because the utilities are, right now, the existing ones are close to the side of the driveway. So it's all paved right now, and
So the new utilities will be running right still alongside the driveway, they'll be under the driveway?
yeah, the utilities will be underground, yeah.
They'd be under the driveway or alongside of it?
Along the side right now, for the existing house, some of the water line goes under the driveway, and some of it runs alongside the driveway. And the gas the same way. So we don't have to touch
You don't have to
much
touch
of
any
that.
Utilities at all, all right? They stay-
But the new utilities, we would hook into Westford Street and run them across, this property now is all lawn. So we would run it across the lawn, and we won't be tearing up the old driveway. But as part of the project, we would pave the whole thing again. Not widen it or anything.
So your easement's gonna contain the utilities on the side of the driveway and everything else. So how wide is your easement gonna be?
I've got, at one end, I've got 50 feet.
Because I'm looking how close that house is on the side of it. What utilities are on the right-hand side or left-hand side? I'm assuming the left.
The utilities are on the right. They come up on the right this way.
So the planned house that you're showing on the other plan, how your house is very close to
Pretty close, yeah.
your utilities.
So we put a access and utility easement coming up along here. We'd like not to rip up the existing utilities.
I'm sure you would like that.
You know, but, and this house is just, to give you an idea what's going in there, this isn't cast in stone, the size of this house.
I just know in the future, as Ed was saying, people get quite upset when you take a backhoe and start running up along the side of their house.
Mike?
After that, I'll gotta go.
Well, I guess we're looking at this right now strictly from the point of view of a subdivision.
Yeah.
So that rather limits what we really need to look at.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
I think it does.
In the subdivision control,
Yeah.
it says it has to be zoning compliant.
Yes, it does.
Okay?
Which apparently it is.
Okay, I'll ask my questions then.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah.
So first, I'd like you to explain the portion of the rear lot, the 10-foot, and the front.
Yeah.
You're gaining your frontage on area that's not counted towards lot area.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So what waivers are you asking for altogether? What zoning waivers?
The zoning waiver we're asking for is the diameter of the cul-de-sac.
That's it?
Yes. And the roundings, the diameter of the cul-de-sac is normally 125 feet.
So how are you gaining compliance with lot width and lot depth?
It meets lot width and lot depth.
Not counted.
You don't think so? It meets lot width and lot depth. Lot width has to be 150 feet. And lot depth has to be 150 feet. So, and let me put my fingers on things. You've got more than 150 feet across here, and more than 150 feet here, right in these areas.
You're gonna make me pull my book out, huh? Evan, where was that in that section?
Definitions. I think you measure them from the street.
Usually.
I think one of them's measured from the street. Lot depth, mean distance from the street line of the lot.
To its opposite rear line, and lot width. It's a horizontal distance between side lot lines measured parallel to the front, the lot frontage at the front yard line setback. So can you tell me where the front yard setback is?
Yes, the front yard setback is be 40 feet back from Westford Street and 40 feet off of the cul-de-sac, so. It would be along here. That would be.
And you're saying the same on the other side?
And on the other side, it would be the same, yeah.
I'll tell you, this is pretty creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
To take-
it complies.
To take 10 feet, and I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
I looked high and low, because I don't like this, and I'm gonna look high and low, and I'm gonna figure out that this shouldn't happen like this. So,
Well, we're following all of the rules and regulations that are in the zoning bylaw. We had appropriate meetings with the building inspector, with community development.
this is
And
a
when
public
you-
hearing, I'll open this to the public. Anybody from the public wish to speak? Come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Peter Schultz, 36 Westford Street. I'm a neighbor. Just a couple of questions or considerations. The drainage in that area isn't the best. As a potential abutter, awareness or concern about, potential impact there. That end of Westford Street doesn't have storm drains for about 100 yards. And I know it's not the concern of the committee here, it's more of a highway department issue, but, that's something that needs to be considered too. Also, that cul-de-sac, is that going to be a private way, a public way? Who's responsible for clearing it? As you said, 30 years in the future, who's gonna keep that clear? Has that become an extension of Westford Street? Who's gonna do snow removal on it?
I believe it'd be a private way,
So,
be a private way, so the homeowners would be responsible.
okay. And just the strata there is, basically ledge with clay on top. And we do get standing water after heavy rains, my neighbors and I. It's just something they need to consider in the planning. I'm not a professional, but I'm a neighbor who's been, living there for 20 years now. I see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Anyone else from the public? Anyone else? Nope.
Maybe I could address the drainage a little bit.
Sure.
There's going to be impervious surfaces, the roof and the driveway. And right now, we're taking the rainwater, the stormwater from the roof and putting it into infiltration system behind the house. Back in here. And there's a culvert. There's a 6-inch culvert right now going under the driveway. So we're proposing to increase that to a 12-inch culvert. And and that connects to another culvert that crosses Westford Street. In that same area, there's a catch basin. So, I mean, I don't really see it, there's no drainage problem right now, and I think we're taking care of the proposed runoff all right. I don't know about standing water in somebody's yard, but this all slopes well. There's no puddles in there now. It's all lawn.
I got a question. So that catch basin,
Culvert?
culvert across Westford Street, it drains that wetlands?
Up on the screen, up on the screen, Pat.
Yeah, this one connects this here, and it goes across, there's a subdivision across the street,
Okay,
and it goes through a ditch there, and goes all the way out back behind,
so that sort of protects 36 Westford a little bit.
So we got a culvert in the middle of the,
What is, you see it there?
we got the culvert in the middle of the turnaround.
Okay.
yeah, there's one here. There's an existing one there, a 6-inch plastic, and rather than leave it in there, subject to damage, and 6 inches doesn't really do a heck of a lot, we're proposing a 12-inch pipe in there with some riprap at each end. We don't, there's very little flow.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and it's got to do with the 10-foot, the lot line on the left-hand side of the drawing here.
Yeah.
Is there any way to make that more, and maybe pick up that dog leg in the back and extend it back? You know, the dog leg on the right. And it would just make me happy to see that there's 30 feet or 40 feet. I know it's wetlands there, but it shows better access to that back lot, even though it's wetlands. I know you can't go over wetlands, but, you know, this is, 10 feet's not a lot, Pat.
No, we were trying to minimize this area going up by the old house there. The plan for this square in here, or this rectangle, the ultimate plan would probably be to put a landscaping easement there and have it utilized by the house in the back. So we could go up further, but I was trying to keep it down, you know.
You understand my hesitation here?
Yeah.
'Cause if you really you take a quick look at it, it almost looks, back to what Ed said. The guy that buys that house 10 years or 20 years from now, and he's not a nice guy, and he parks in the middle of the driveway, you know, it's just,
Yeah, what I was trying to say at the beginning was, if this was just an A&R,
Yeah.
it probably, you know as well as I do, you probably wouldn't have drawn it and it wouldn't have gotten approved because there's no, what's the term? There's no
access.
viable access to the back part of the lot, the buildable part of the lot. I think that's how the judgments are written. There's no viable access. So that's what George is getting at about trying to widen this 10-foot strip, because I know what you did, and I can see it, and it's really creative. But as a straight A&R, I wouldn't be going for it either. But that's why I'm trying to see if you can get a little more creative somehow, if you guys can put your thinking caps on a little more.
Yeah. It hurt to get this far, so I don't know.
But you follow what I'm getting at, what
Yeah.
maybe George is getting at.
Well, you already got, that's gonna be a private drive going up through the middle anyhow,
Yeah.
then the whole thing. Couldn't you just bring one private drive all the way up to the back and put a little T turnaround and grab your frontage for the top lot on that one, and grab your frontage for your second lot on the side, and stuff that middle house like over to the left, where the
And-
driveway is?
Anytime if we extend this paper street up, we start losing area on the lot.
Okay, so you're tight on the area.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I just
Yeah.
figured there had to be a,
But
did you try to calculate it out? Because there's not gonna be that much of a difference, because you're gonna lose your cul-de-sac, right?
Well, I think we have to have the cul-de-sac, don't we? That's part of the subdivision regulations, we gotta have
We've done in the past the T turnarounds.
for frontage.
No, not really for frontage.
Yeah, we need the frontage. We don't, if we had 300 feet of frontage on Westford Street, we'd be fine. We could do 150 feet on each lot, but we don't have 300 feet of frontage on Westford. You know,
My only other question for you would be, you got your gas and water on the left-hand side of the house, you got the sewer on the right-hand side of the house, and you got the driveway on the left-hand side of the house. It'd be nice to, I know you're trying to keep costs down, but it'd be nice to take and have it all in the right-of-way, so you're not gonna take somebody's backhoe and be going through. I know they're not supposed to go bad, but it'd be nice to have everything all in one shot.
So why don't we just throw this up for consideration? Continue the hearing. I can draft a decision, keep the hearing open, so at the next meeting, we can review the decision. Maybe the surveyor can think a little bit more about some refinements to the plan. I will say, as you heard a couple times this evening, Mark Dupel, the zoning commissioner, building and commissioner, is here in the audience. He and I sat down not once but twice on this one, and that's highly unusual for a two-lot subdivision. And I think the reason for the second time was because we asked you to move the proposed driveway so that it was on lot one frontage.
yeah.
So I think we all acknowledge and agree that the lot lines on paper look funky and weird. But I would encourage you, at least under subdivision control, to focus on the functionality, making sure that the sites operate in a safe and functional manner, which speaks to the easements, trying to get some additional notes or line delineations on the plan. The deeded easement, maybe you can provide a draft of that, and I can work that into the decision. So at least from a subdivision perspective, the board has gone into a little bit more detail than we normally would. If and when building permits are applied for, Mark Dupel will do a second review for zoning compliance to make sure the lot,
Width and lot depth.
yeah, to make sure that lot 1 and 2 are compliant.
I would agree to that. How about the board?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue.
Continue.
I got a motion.
Yeah.
I got a motion by Mike, second by Henry.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous.
All right.
We're going to take a 2-minute break, and we're a 3-minute break, a 4-minute break. And we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Thank you for your attention.
I was gonna skip the whole night, but I didn't look nervous about running the.
Are we all done?
In work session.
Just keeps us busy.
You can leave everything up here, I'll be up in the morning about it.
Okay.
So, Nan's on her way back, but let's just get started. 152 Turnpike, reviewed decision.
Where did my copy of this go? Is this my copy here?
It should be in here.
We got two of them here.
Yeah, we got, okay, they got spread around. Okay. 152. Okay. Those in here. Oh, is it Boad or Bayod? One of these is wrong. Page 2.
Page 2.
Yeah, on findings number 7.
7 and 8,
7 and 8.
129 BAO, Amenities Overlay District of BOA, it's AOD.
Bayod.
Number 8.
Yeah.
Nan, we're, just to
least you
get
got
caught up,
page
we're
2.
reviewing,
At least you got a page 2.
we're reviewing 152 Turnpike.
You can read my page.
152?
152 Turnpike.
I'm looking at it going, what the heck? Huh? I go,
Oh, well.
looks all right to me.
Monica, you good?
I'm good.
Glenn, you good? I'm good. Ed, you good?
All set.
Ship it.
Henry?
I'm good.
You got my Boad.
Yep.
Bayod
Yeah.
comment. Okay.
Nan's still reading, so we'll just give her another minute.
My only comment on it would be that we use a lot of acronyms in it, and the first time they're used, they should be spelled out.
Yeah, it's good practice.
I would do that.
Good.
Other than that, I'm good.
So we're good with this one?
Yeah, I don't think, we don't need a motion to go with this, do we? I think we just go with it.
I will pull, I believe you voted on this last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll
we
pull
did.
the official vote and fill
Yeah.
that in.
Yeah. So everyone on this side, Nan, you're good with the language?
I'm good with the language. I would
Hold the
like to
board,
see the
everyone's-
acronyms spelled out the first time they're used.
Okay. So I pulled the board, everyone's in agreement, this decision's fine. Next one is 11 Cushing Place, review the decision.
Evan, under page 3, special, number 3, stabilization fund prior to first occupancy. You want to make that stronger and say prior to issuance of occupancy permit?
Prior to issuance of first occupancy permit?
I don't know how many we issue.
For the,
I think there's only one.
for those buildings, it'll be one.
Yeah, prior to issue of occupancy permit.
Yep.
To me, it just makes it a little stronger language.
Okay.
That's consistent with the next line, kind of.
Prior,
I don't know. I think permanent's better.
yeah, I like that one better.
Yeah, you're good.
Henry, you didn't vote on this one? 11 Cooter?
You voted on
I haven't got that stuff out yet.
Yeah.
I got it
We're miss-
listed
we're-
on
We're missing a name on
number
the,
3. Okay.
No, Charlie's there.
Mike,
You
Ed,
look-
George, Nancy, Glenn, Monica. This is voting planning board members. This is on the 4th page.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind, I'm
Fourth
sorry. I was looking at
He was
the first
originally
page.
chair, so I forgot to move you
Okay.
down.
All right. Okay, so George becomes Henry. Good.
Number 4 on page 2. The date is wrong.
2107.
Yep.
Back to the Future.
Thank you.
Oh, 20.
You good, Mike?
I'm good.
I'm good. Glenn's good. Ed?
Yep, I'm okay with the
Ed's good.
language.
Monica? Monica's good.
I'm
Henry?
good.
Henry's good. Nan's still speed
I'm
reading.
still speed reading.
Okay, here we go.
You available to come in tomorrow to sign these? Or do you want me to send them to you electronically? Do you not do electronic signature? Okay.
Is this it?
Why don't you take a road trip right down the street?
I can do that. You want to invite me down?
I just invited you. Unless you're up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll be in 7.
Yeah, you'll probably pass me on my way to the
I
train.
believe my eyes will be opening at that point.
Lucky.
Okay. All right.
I don't wake up with the sunlight.
Kids don't come in, jump on the bed on you.
They've learned not to.
The hard way.
Dear.
You can one dog and call it later.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she
Two
made the
dogs.
mistake a
So,
couple
while
times.
Nan's doing that, I'm just gonna announce.
I'm
that,
good.
Nan's good. So everybody's good on the reviewed decision. So,
Okay.
so, next item are basically housekeeping items. So before everybody turns their channel off, June 6th, Tuesday, the UMass Lowell West Campus Planning Committee is having a public input session at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center. What we're looking for is input on potential uses for the property, as we're looking at it as a committee that's charged by the Board of Selectmen.
What was the date?
It's June 6th, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, Chelmsford Senior Center. Please tell your neighbors.
One quick thing. The, what are we calling ourselves? The North Village Strategic Action Plan Committee has been doing a bike and pedestrian count at the intersection of Washington and Princeton Street in North Chelmsford. We held one count today, which was successful. We're looking for volunteers to count, again, bicycles and pedestrians on this coming Saturday, June 3rd, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. The best way to sign up would actually be online. If you're on Facebook, you can go to the Friends of North Village, and there's a link to our sign up there, or you can call me directly at 617-461-4293. Please sign up by tomorrow evening if you're interested. Thank you.
Okay. So next item is summer schedule. Our next meeting is June, and that ties in with work session. So June 14th. Do we have any large things pending for June 14th?
There may be one new public hearing, but nothing
Do you know if
large.
it's been advertised yet?
It's either, I believe it's advertised for the 14th. If it's not the 14th, it'd be the 28th.
All right. So what I'd like to propose is that we have a work session on it. I know Nan and Mike have trouble getting into town, but at 6:30.
Yeah, I can do
I
it.
could do
I can do it.
6:30.
It's
I
a
just
matter
have
of
to
which
work in
train I
Devon's,
take.
not Cambridge.
So 6:30, and then we'll start the planning board meeting at 7:30. Is that, can we do that if the public hearing is advertised for 7 or
Oh, you can't, you gotta have it
For
at
the
7.
14th,
14th?
I'm not here.
Okay.
Lucky you.
All right, so we'll start at 6:30, just maybe just to get some general discussion topics started, and then meeting at 7. Okay.
Okay.
The topics that I was gonna put on the agenda would be, for discussion would be a little bit about if we should visit inclusionary zoning.
Yeah.
Nan, do you have anything you want to do about the historic?
Yeah, I
Wanna
want
discuss
to,
that?
I want to discuss that a bit. Just
Okay,
put
so-
some ideas out there on the table.
Okay, so you can do that in a quick presentation, that'd be
Yep.
good. Or you can put something together ahead of time and email it to Evan, and he'll get it to us so we can review it ahead of schedule, that's great.
Run it past
and we'll try
Monica
to
first.
keep you in the loop,
Sure.
okay? And then master plan, just kind of, and medical marijuana. We have to visit that, correct?
Yeah.
No, medical, recreation.
Recreational, sorry,
marijuana.
recreational marijuana. Nobody bring brownies,
What do
okay?
you say, we have smoking? All right.
All right?
I'll try to look at that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward.
I think it is too.
I think we just, we can discuss it at that
Yeah.
point. Any other committee reports?
I haven't gotten another notification from the EDC as to their next meeting. Don knows how to
June
find me.
7th,
June 7th? All right.
next Wednesday.
You just got it.
June 7th. It's going to be a little complicated, but I may make some. What time is that normally?
7. Did you intend to go over summer schedule?
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
the next meeting would be June 28th, is that correct? So, and then after that, what happens in July? July 4th?
July 12th and 26th would be your regular meeting dates.
So I would say push off the 12th,
Cancel the 12th?
cancel the 12th.
Yeah.
Let me just ask a stupid question. Is this a big project that you're advertising?
No, it's,
I'm trying not to delay them, that's what I'm thinking.
59, 6 through 65 Princeton Court, which is off of Princeton Street. It's behind
The condos, right?
It's behind the 40B condos. On the property is an existing 2-building, 19-unit apartment complex. This property overlooks the
Mills.
the adaptive reuse mill that's now a
Oh,
residential.
okay,
Up on the
okay,
hill
I know
there.
what you're talking about, okay.
So if you drive into that, you'll see a large parking lot.
Yeah,
On the
and
right-hand side are the 2 buildings.
Okay,
He's proposing to do a mirror image on the left-hand side of the parking area.
closer to the railroad tracks.
Closer to the mills.
Yeah, I mean, you can
whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not
Whatever.
overly large project, but it's probably a couple hearings, minimum couple hearings.
All right, so,
Okay, so that one, and then the 2 meetings in August.
Yeah, I mean, I think for scheduling purposes, I don't know when the 2 Turnpike projects intend to turn it around. My guess is they'll be targeting August, September.
Good for them. So what's the first meeting in August?
The regular meeting would be the 9th and the 23rd.
So I'd say put off the 23rd, and then if anything, it'll be a work session, so if we have anything that we want to bring forward for town meeting.
Yeah.
Cancel the 23rd or keep it open as a potential work session?
Keep it as a work session?
yeah, keep it open.
Well,
Keep it open as a work session.
We already canceled one in July, so keep it open.
And we can always readjust in a couple of meetings.
All right.
It's a hell of a long time from now.
Every time we think we're gonna have an open meeting.
Somebody comes up with another
So
project.
seeing it to be 9:01, I'll entertain a motion, but to adjourn, I'll take that as a motion.
Second.
And I have a second by Mr. Cole. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Ay, 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 ay.